I reject socialism outright. I reject Marxism, Leninism, communism, any of these isms that have come out of a political theory that basically denies the worth of each and every individual, denies people's aspirations to reach for the stars, denies the fact that we have inherent God-given rights.
As election season is fast approaching, I thought it would be appropriate to make a video about why you should vote for Ron DeSantis in 2022 and possibly 2024. You see, Ron DeSantis may be the greatest politician of our lifetime. He's honest and he fights for what really matters. It took me 5 minutes to come up with 10 reasons why you and I should both vote for him. And in this video, that's precisely what I'm going to do. But before I tell you these reasons why you should vote for Ron DeSantis, I got to play the intro. So, play the intro, please. Have you seen these stories popping up about Chinese officials or Chinese billionaires or Chinese companies buying thousands of acres of farmland across the United States? Well, I have, and it's been freaking me out. Even so, some of these farmlands are right next to military bases. Why are we allowing this? Well, reason number one to vote for Ron DeSantis is that he is not allowing it anymore in Florida. Governor Ron DeSantis counteracts malign influence by China and other hostile nations in Florida through new action. Today, Governor Ron DeSantis announced executive action and legislative proposals to address threats posed by the Communist Party of China and other hostile foreign powers in cyberspace, real estate, and academia. These measures will curtail the nefarious intentions of all 7 countries on Florida's list of countries of concern, making it more difficult for China, Cuba, Russia, Iran, North Korea, Syria, or Venezuela to engage in espionage or influence operations within Florida's borders, and preventing purchases of agricultural land and lands surrounding military bases by those governments or their agents. Details on today's announcement can be found here. Now, I'm not going to read you the whole story because that's not what we do here. We're going to go through these fast 10 points of why you should vote for Ron DeSantis. And this, my friends, has been point number 1. So we can cross it off the list. No Chinese dirty communists are going to be owning farmland in the great state of Florida. Let's go to story numero 2. Fiscal year 2021-2022 marks the largest surplus in Florida history. How could that be? I thought Ron DeSantis was the worst governor in America. Wrong. Fake news. In reality, Ron DeSantis is the greatest governor in America, and we don't even have a state income tax. Yet, we have a large surplus of money. We don't even know what to do with it. Today, the governor, Ron DeSantis, announced the surplus for fiscal year 2021-22 is $21.8 billion. Extra, just lying around. The highest in state history, and more than 21% above the state budget for the fiscal year. Could you imagine that happening in Los Angeles or New York? Spending 21%. Oh my God. This is why I became a lawyer, because I can't do math. Anyway, after you spend your money, 21% left over. I think that's the math. It doesn't matter. There's billions of dollars left over. So what does Ron DeSantis do? Is he a corrupt official giving it to his friends and family? Yet, that's not what he does. Governor Ron DeSantis doles out $1,000 bonuses to first responders in Florida. That's correct. Because in Florida, we don't fire people because they don't succumb to the state. We don't tell them, get a vaccine mandate, even though we needed you throughout the emergency. Now that the emergency is over, you can go fuck yourself. That's not what we do in Florida. Governor Ron DeSantis appreciates the first responders, and whenever we have extra money, we give it to them. Governor Ron DeSantis, what a good man. So that covers story number 2. The surplus plus giving the money to first responders. Our next story, I'm sure you all heard this, the Don't Say Gay Bill. In reality, the Don't Say Gay Bill is called the Parental Rights in Education Bill, and it says that kids should not be taught gender ideology in school. How could anyone disagree with that? I don't know. But it goes farther than that, and this is my favorite part of the bill, which states that schools and teachers cannot socially transition kids without parental consent. Can you imagine? Your kid, Timmy, goes to school, and after hearing about all this gender ideology, he says, hey, maybe I am a girl. I mean, I like ballet or whatever girly activity. So he tells his teacher, and he says, okay, Timmy, from now on, we're going to call you Sally. And don't worry, I'm not going to tell your parents. Do you not think that's going to have severe consequences on the child's health? And most importantly, well, not most importantly, but also on the relationship between the child and the parents? Of course it will. Of course it will. But the parental rights and education prevents this from happening. And we can cross it off the list. But before we complete the line crossing it off the list, I want to show you this clip because it's related to the Don't Say Gay bill, the Parental Rights and Education bill, but also it gives you another example of why Ron DeSantis is such a great politician and fighting for your interest, because he stands up to the fake news media. He stands up to them. Watch.
Asking about Senate parental rights and education, what critics call the Don't Say Gay bill, is on the Senate floor.
Does it say that in the bill?
I know that you support.
Does it say that in the bill?
I'm
asking you to tell me what's in the bill because you are pushing false narratives. It doesn't matter what critics say.
Hold on. It says it bans classroom instruction on sexual identity and gender orientation.
For who? For grades pre-K through 3. So 5-year-olds, 6-year-olds, 7-year-olds. And the idea that you wouldn't be honest about that and tell people what it actually says, it's why people don't trust people like you, because you peddle false narratives. And so we disabuse you of those narratives. And we're going to make sure that parents are able to send their kid to kindergarten without having some of this stuff injected into their school curriculum.
That's correct. Get the woke trash out of our schools and fight the fake news media. I love it, and frankly, you should too. Now, his fight against the wokes doesn't end with the schools. Governor Ron DeSantis had the balls to suspend an elected Tampa prosecutor. Why? Because he refused to prosecute anyone breaking the law, specifically getting abortions after 15 weeks, and he was supporting of transitioning kids, which, by the way, it's happening in Florida. As I've showed you in my last video, I'll show you again. These kids had their surgeries done in Miami, Florida. That's my home city. Ron DeSantis, you got to do something about this, my friend. You just have to. So we cross the prosecutor off our list and move on to our next point, which is during COVID, he did not go crazy. He did not follow the crowd. What did he do? He used his brain. He used logic to discern the numbers and the facts and to see what was really happening in the objective reality that we actually live in. So while everyone was locking down, Ron DeSantis wasn't. In fact, all these people with the means and the resources from the states where, they were locked down, flocked to Florida. They came here. Another thing that happened during COVID, which is another point on my list, is the vaccine mandates, and I've touched on this earlier in the video. When states were dishing out vaccine mandates and the federal government was encouraging and doing it themselves, what was Florida doing? Hell no. I'm not doing no vaccine mandates. We're not doing no vaccine passports. That's unconstitutional. That's un-American. Right, Ron DeSantis?
We're not doing any vaccine passports. I mean, that's totally unacceptable. So people don't have to worry about it here in the state of Florida. And if folks try to start doing it privately, we may have a role to play there as well, because I do think it's unacceptable.
And that, my friends, is called freedom. We got that in Florida. If you don't have it in your state, you should fight for it. And if Ron DeSantis runs for president, you should probably vote for him. Now, in Florida and everywhere else in the country, the cost of living is going up, inflation is rampant, and prices are skyrocketing. So what does Ron DeSantis do to help the citizens in the great state of Florida? Governor Ron DeSantis announced his 2023 legislative proposal to provide family-focused tax relief. What does that mean? Well, all household items under $25 will now be tax-free. No sales tax. No sales tax for the important household items under $25. It's supposed to provide about $1.1 billion in tax relief to Floridians. So when Sleepy Joe is raising taxes because he's giving all your money to Ukraine and giving all the money to the woke and spending all the money in his green bills that are not doing anything because we live in a society that uses fossil fuels. Anyway, we're getting off topic here. the sales tax exemption is another reason why you should vote for Ron DeSantis. Another economic reason why Ron DeSantis is so fantastic is that he himself is so fantastic that he's raised so much money for his re-election campaign that he doesn't know what to do with it. He's breaking records raising all this money. So you know what he did with the money? Something that Trump has failed to do, which is troublesome because he's also raised a lot of money. But Ron DeSantis has started giving it to Republican Senate candidates who need it for their fights, for their campaigns. He said, hey, I got all this money. Why not giving it to my comrades? Well, probably shouldn't have used that word. It's a communist word. Why not give it to my fellow MAGA Republicans? I think it's wonderful that he's raising so much money that he's helping other Republicans. And finally, he's a wonderful father and husband who, when his wife got cancer, stood by her. And that was the most important thing on his plate. It wasn't an election. It wasn't Florida. It wasn't the fake news. It was his family. I think we could all admire that. And it's good to see that in a person who's supposed to be a leader. Ron DeSantis has a beautiful family. He's done a great job with that. So you can cross that one off the list. So those are 10 reasons why you should vote for Ron DeSantis. But wait, there's more. I have a bonus reason. He was embedded with the fucking Navy SEALs. I mean, come on. This man is a G. You don't believe me? Check this out.
And when he was on active duty, he was a Navy commissioned officer and served in Iraq. When you're advising SEAL Team 1, you're making life and death decisions every day. And as someone who has served side by side with him, he is selfless and he will do what is in your best interest, not his best interest. The Navy's core values are honor, courage, and commitment. And Governor DeSantis embodied those core values on active duty, and he embodies them every day as the governor of our state. Governor DeSantis is a true servant leader.
I told you. So, come 2022, if you live in Florida, are you going to re-elect Governor Ron DeSantis? I hope so. I know I will. I'll definitely be voting for him in 2022. But what about 2024? Well, that's a little more complicated. I mean, if Trump runs, then, you know, we're going to have to see when we get there. We'll cross the bridge when we get to it. But if Trump doesn't run, then, hey, Ron DeSantis got my vote. That's for sure. What about you guys? What are you going to do? What if Trump runs? Well, comment down below. I'd love to know. I'll see you next time. Thank you for watching.
Hi, this is Governor Ron DeSantis. I have a positive update about my wife, Casey DeSantis. After going through both treatment and surgery for breast cancer, she is now considered cancer-free. And all of you have had thoughts and prayers that have been given to my family and my wife. I just want to know thank you for doing that. It's lifted her spirits. It's made a tremendous difference. And for all the women out there who are going through breast cancer right now, you can overcome this. I know it's very difficult, but my wife is proof positive. And so if you'd wound back 6 or 7 months, this is exactly the type of news that we had hoped for. She still has more to do, but I'm confident she's going to make a full recovery. Thank you for all your thoughts and prayers, and God bless you all.